Coming up, is the PRX over in 2025? Let's find out.
You know what you're gonna be? Blasted.
Hello and welcome back to Automatic Reviews. I'm Mark. Before we get to the review of the very lovely Tissot PRX Powermatic 80, I just want to encourage you to hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, I'll have to keep on boring people with stories about how cool I used to be back in the old days. I want to be cool now. All right, just a quick reminder, this review was not sponsored, but even if it was, I'll always tell you what I really think. Now let's take a look at this watch. Just a quick look at the unboxing. The watch comes in this reasonably handsome and sturdy branded watch box. Inside you'll find the watch on a pretty nice black cloth-covered pillow. Below that you'll find the manual and the warranty card. This watch features a 2-year warranty. The Gerald Genta-inspired 316L stainless steel case and bracelet feature a refined mix of brushing and polishing. The case is 40mm across and 10.9mm thick. It's 44mm lug to lug, strictly referring to the case, but factoring in those fixed end links, things are extended out to 51mm. There's also a PRX-specific lug width of 12mm, requiring specially designed straps with small tabs allowing them to fit correctly. It has an exhibition screw-down caseback providing a view of the Powermatic 80 movement, which beats away at 21,600 beats per hour and has a power reserve of 80 hours. It also features a signed crown. The watch has pale blue lume on the hands and indices. Here's a quick lume shot. The rich blue dial features a handsome and classy waffle texture, as well as a sunburst effect. The baton indices are applied. The logo and chapter ring are printed on nicely, and the non-color match date wheel is framed. The hands are also baton-shaped, except for the seconds hand, which is a needle. Water resistance is 100 meters. The crystal is flat sapphire, and if it has AR, it's mild, but newer models are purportedly shipping with an effective AR coating. The tapering integrated bracelet features a pin-based adjustment system, has solid end links, a push-button butterfly clasp, and an etched logo. Here it is on my flat profile 7-inch wrist. Adjusted for me, it weighs 132 grams. Its current price is around 975 Canadian dollars at retail, which works out to about 680 US dollars. Not exactly a cheap watch, but we'll address the value for money a little later. Here I go again, no micro adjust. This watch has a butterfly clasp, and that used to give you a bit of a pass when it comes to micro adjust. But more and more companies have figured out how to integrate micro adjust into this kind of clasp, so it stands out more with each passing year. That said, most if not all Swatch Group brands don't feature micro adjust in the entry-level space, so I don't expect that to change anytime soon, unfortunately. The movement features a few plastic parts, namely the escapement wheel and pallet fork. There was a big hubbub about this when the Powermatic 80 was launched, but they've been around long enough that no one can suggest they're a point of functional weakness. It's just that they're a little psychologically icky because one of the things mechanical watches offer is a freedom from the digital and plasticky world which surrounds us. The knowledge that there is something outside of the norms of good old-fashioned watchmaking unsettles us a little. Likewise, due to the fact that Powermatic 80s are laser regulated, you couldn't adjust the watch yourself if you wanted to. This again goes against the norms and the comfort zone of the watch community. Finally, there were rumors that this watch couldn't be serviced, and when you sent them in to be serviced, Tissot just plucked out the old movement, tossed it, and replaced it. While I think this is partially true, I've seen many watchmakers insist that the movement is completely serviceable. I think the fact is that Tissot likely just doesn't see the value in rehabilitating old movements when it's far faster and cheaper to replace them. The only issue here, again, is us watch weirdos. We like the idea that the machine will stay as close to its original self as possible. Disposability is the antithesis of what automatic watches are all about. It's not a deal breaker with these watches, but it just makes them feel a little more like fashion items and less like the timepieces we'd expect from a Swiss manufacturer. This might only pertain to my unit, but I've been experiencing an overly firm crown. It's difficult to turn, and that's compounded by the fact that it's so tiny and hard to grip. I thought it might loosen up over time, but it never did. It doesn't ruin the experience, but every time I go to wind and set it, I remember and go, oh yeah, this again. I wish it was a little smoother and more premium feeling, but it comes up infrequently. Spoiler, price is going to come up in the highs as well, so this is a bit of a subjective one. But if you're not specifically looking for what this watch offers, as good or better watches are out there for half the money. It's a mid because, well, stay tuned for the highs. One of this watch's strengths is that it's not a traditional design or style. Yes, it's based on a watch from 50 years ago, but it still stands out as being unique even in today's crowded field of watches, if we ignore all the watches that followed in its footsteps to capitalize on the hype. At the same time, this strength is a potential weakness as it never really fits into a particular lane. Want to wear a sports watch today? It's a bit sporty, but not as sporty as your diver. Want to wear a dress watch? Not quite as dressy as that thin watch and a leather strap you wear on special occasions. It's almost the Gata, but not quite that either. It does nothing well but be a PRX. That's part of what I love about it, but it's also part of the reason I only wear it when I'm in a PRX mood, and not for any other specific use case reason. The PRX series is available in both 35mm and 40mm sizes. This is the 40, and this watch wears large. The true functional lug-to-lug of 51mm says it all. Not too large for me, here's a mirror shot. But I think I'd prefer it in a 37 to 38mm Goldilocks size. Based on how many people you see online struggling between finding the 35mm a little small and the 40mm a little big, this is a pretty common issue. I think a 37.5mm release could have solved a lot of sizing issues for people and may be served as a one-size-fits-most option. The bracelet is just different enough to feel really cool and bespoke. This isn't just another Oyster clone. That said, it's not so out there as to lose functionality. It's unique, but it fits like a glove and is a pleasure to wear. Thankfully, it also includes half links for a better fit. All that's really missing is a micro-adjust clasp, and well, if I'm being picky, a screw-based adjustment system would be preferable to the old hammer and pin routine. That being said, it is still a great bracelet. For those who wear the same watch every day or in fact never even take it off, a long power reserve might seem rather pointless. But if you're like me and tend to rotate watches, you'll absolutely love having 80 hours of downtime to play with. The watches with the longest power reserves are always at the ready just when you need them to be. I love that. This watch is the 70s transformed into 132 grams of metal and sapphire, and I absolutely love that about it. It feels like a real piece of history. Sure, it qualifies as only Genta inspired and not one of his originals, but the Tissot heritage that birthed this piece traces its roots all the way back to the 70s with an iconic Seastar design. Retro feels more authentic when the company doing it is copying their own work. Not many watches can offer this in the sub $1,000 range with this quality level to boot. This nails it. Add into that Tissot stated service costs are very reasonable, and you have a package which is very hard to criticize. If you want to own a Swiss icon, this is definitely one of the most affordable ways to do that. So, I started with a question. Is the PRX over in 2025? The hype has cooled a little, but honestly, I think this watch is anything but over. It's still a great watch, and no amount of attention, or lack thereof, has any bearing on that. That said, it's done something that very few watches do. When you hear PRX, you immediately know what watch is being talked about. It's the watch equivalent of being on a first-name basis. For that matter, when you hear the name Tissot, you think PRX. It defines the brand. Not only that, it's become a yardstick against which affordable watches are measured, and a mainstay on top 10 lists of entry-level Swiss watches. Over? No. It's become an icon, and personally I think it deserves its recognition. So, no, the PRX isn't over. I think it's here to stay. What about you? Do you think the PRX still matters in 2025? Do you own one? If so, share your thoughts down in the comments. Planning on getting one? Or have you decided to go another way? I want to hear about it. Alright, that's it, that's all. Be sure to check the description for any relevant links, like where to find my Instagram, and where to find the creator of my theme song, Derelict. Before you go, I just want to remind you that tapping that subscribe button makes it 10% harder for mean people to find bathrooms in public when they really, really need one. All right, till next time, bye-bye.